Hey, everybody, this is Teacher on the Radio, getting back into the podcast, into the live broadcast, doing this because it's the time of a new school year, and I'm part of a college radio situation, and it's very, very, very exciting. And we are going to be live on the air again, and we're going to be having the podcast up on my SoundCloud. And the last several weeks of summer, what has been the most exciting thing that happened in music? No Name by Jack White. So I called up my friend Rick Quinn, friend of the show, fellow music writer. Rick, what happened in these last several weeks with this new album?
It's like you said, it's the surprise of the summer. All of a sudden there became buzz from people getting copies of this white covered No Name album being put into their bags when they made purchases at Third Man on a particular Friday recently. And then the internet was abuzz about a new album by Jack White.
And I didn't get to listen to it on vinyl because I wasn't at Third Man. I listened to it on YouTube, and get this, I got an MP3 from a Google Drive, and then I had to figure out how to get the MP3 from the Google Drive onto my phone. What about the record, though, Rick? It is a hard-hitting record.
It is. I tell you, if you want, I can read a little blurb that I just put on a Discord server
Yes, let's hear it.
As a way to get started. Just a brief paragraph. I wrote, No Name by Jack White is a surprising, raucous garage blues ride with little splashes of classic rock riffs and funk vibes here and there. With his 2022 double release of Fear of Dawn and Entering Heaven Alive, I thought Jack was morphing into the most interesting figure in rock. This surprise album does nothing to dampen my fascination. Entering Heaven Alive was a cornucopia of musical genres, and it seems to have served as a palate cleanser for Jack, bringing him back to the driving, bluesy garage rocks that made the White Stripes such a mighty revival of rock in the post-rock era. White rediscovers the essence of his early work while evolving past its minimalist presentation. Also fascinating to me about this album is the generous mix of religious and theological imagery throughout. There are references to the devil / Old Scratch, a staple of the blues, the cadence of an evangelist carnival barker, shout outs to Adam and Eve, Poisoned Apples, and the Walls of Jericho, hinting at rock's anti-institutionalism. He references Aristotle's unmoved mover and hints at the apophatic tradition with the album title and artwork. It's a fascinating question as to what he's up to. But of course, you can enjoy the album without contemplating any of that. You just crank up the volume and let the album blow you backward into your seat. I don't know about you, but I think this has moved solidly into my top 10.
Well, it is a rager. It's a banger. It's
yes.
I went to see it live at the 40 Watt Club, the legendary 40 Watt Club in Athens, Georgia, with just a couple hundred people. I just lucked into not a free ticket, but I got on as a +1 to somebody whose friend couldn't make it. Then I paid him for the ticket, but I got to go to the show in Athens, Georgia, with just a couple hundred people back on the end of July. And it was, my ears hurt afterwards. It is harder. As you know, I'm a pretty big into folk music, acoustic music, unplugged music, but I have just been riveted and feeling the power of my Detroit Nashville connection that I share with Jack, and just like the poundingness of it. But yes, I was very early to start wanting that idea of this religious kind of self-made mythology. He's almost inventing his own religion at the same time that he is using these very archetypal mythological tropes that are already there, so like you said, the devil and God and Adam and Eve, but it's got this sense of the no name. To me, is the namelessness of the spirit that some people call God. But then you have this idea of the tour, and he made an Instagram post this week. What about that idea that, well, this is the tour? These aren't gimmicks. This isn't a pop. He put quotes around it. This isn't a pop-up show. This is the show.
Right. No, I think it goes back to my thought about how he's like to me, he's just like the most fascinating figure in rock music right now. And this idea that when he can sell out arenas for sure, he's just gonna like you sent me that picture, grab this basic Chevy van and head out to these small clubs and connect with audiences on a visceral level that he wouldn't be able to do. I think it's really cool. It's fascinating, and I'm excited to see what happens with it.
I've heard him called the Willy Wonka of rock, but I feel like Willy Wonka has left the chocolate factory.
Yes.
Elvis has left the building. I mean, he's out there. He says, I'm going to meet you in an orchard and we're going to eat fruit off the tree and let's go get a coffee and a piece of pie. I think he wants to really, to use the name of one of his many side projects, he wants to be a raconteur. He wants to be the circuit riding street preacher. He wants to be the sideshow hustle at the carnival,
Yes. Encouraging us to grab 7 friends and bring their 7 friends and just gather around and rock out. It's wild. I noticed something this morning. It may be nothing, but as I was preparing for our talk, it occurred to me that this album art, this is the first Jack White solo project that his face is not on in some form or another, unless this photograph is an extreme close up of his face. I have no idea. The liner notes say that he took the photograph for the cover, so I don't know what it's a picture of, but it just sort of adds to that, like you said, that no name mystery of the whole thing.
Well, he's taken on another nickname too. Johnny Guitar. I think it looks like water. I think it looks like the great cosmic blue, return to the source. It seems to me to be an image of the cosmic womb and also an image of the heavenly ether for me.
That makes perfect sense. And I'm beginning to wonder if this is the third in a trilogy with the Fear of the Dawn, Entering Heaven Alive. All of these are dealing with, in one way or another, quasi-religious, quasi-metaphysical themes.
Well, I can't wait, Rick. I can't wait to see what he does next. So I love Bless Yourself. That's, and I love that line, if you're a cop, arrest yourself. And just, it just plays with, he uses a lot of rhyming, a lot of heavy rhyming.
Yes.
He's not, it's almost like a children's jingle or Dr. Seuss or even a hip hop vibe to the rhyming. It's rough on rats, if you're asking, reminding us that, hey, we've got it better than the rats. What's the rumpus? Will the label dump us?
Right.
It's just I can't believe it. It's real, and that's the thing too. And I've mentioned it to you, but other garage rock peers from the early aughts have not, no one of his stature has done anything of this level of ingenuity, innovation in terms of it's like an anti-marketing marketing.
Yeah.
That's actually just exploded, his resume, if you will.
Absolutely. And I love that he is bringing attention and audiences to these small clubs where I know we frequent. It's where we discover these Jack Whites in the making, or other things. I think you and I talked about, he started this whole thing off with a benefit for the American Legion Hall here in Nashville, a classic venue in a town where we're being overrun by new things squeezing out the old. And his advertisement for it was, hey, don't worry, Jack's going to go on at 5. You'll still have time to catch X up and coming artist over at East Side Bowl at 7 o'clock. Even then, deferring attention to the burgeoning music scene. I just think it is a really cool rock and roll thing that he's doing right now.
Yeah, it drips love, it drips enthusiasm. The last thing he said on that on there was music is sacred on that Instagram post he made the other day. I can't wait to see what the other venues are going to be. I'm going to take this little chat we just had. I'm going to drop it right in the middle of Teacher on the Radio. So if you're hearing this on the air, this is my friend Rick Quinn. I dialed him up from Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm the Teacher on the Radio, also from Detroit. I share that with Jack White. We love Jack White. And the rest of this morning, this Saturday morning, is devoted to listening to a career-spanning mix of Jack White, including lots of tracks from the brand new album, No Name, with Jack White on Teacher on the Radio.